You are at Lake Rant, where I rant about whatever my $10 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. You can get one of these by being one of those. This one's for Drinks Menu, who says, rant about the anime Parasite dolls. Not that I think it's amazing or anything, but I think it's an interesting spin-off of Bubblegum Crisis that had some standout moments, and would like to hear another opinion on it. No one really talks too much about it. First of all, sorry this took me so long to get to. I know you requested this multiple months, and I owe you another rant because you're meant to get a different one for each month. But anyways, Parasite dolls. I had seen this like 12 years ago, and I did not remember any of it. I rewatched it this morning, and like I had vague memories of the final standoff in the hotel because I remembered thinking that scene was badass. But yeah, everything else was like re-experiencing it for the first time essentially. But I watched it this morning with May, and we both thought it was pretty entertaining. I mean, really the trouble with Parasite dolls is that it's only 3 episodes of what feels like an episodic show that then just suddenly has like a very climactic ending. So like the idea of it is it's a spin-off from Bubblegum Crisis, which was a huge franchise throughout the late 80s, early 90s. And I think this is one of the last parts of it that was released from 2003. So, it's not from the heyday of OVAs. It's not from like the time when they were all super gorgeous and beautiful. It looks cool. It looks it looks very much like late 90s, early 2000s production, and particularly episode 3 gets really strange in that regard, but I would say it looks good. It's got a lot of atmosphere. It's very smooth. There's great music throughout. And there's a line early into the first episode where this woman's, talking on the radio, and she says something like, "This is for those of you who like, something like smooth music and adult conversation," she says. And I just thought that was like the perfect tone setter for what this anime is supposed to be. Like, if you want to listen to a bunch of adult police people, grumble about serious affairs, and some cool sci-fi concepts in action, this is for you. It's written by Chiaki Kanaka, the writer who kept anime weird, as I call him, writer of Serial Experiments Lain, Techno Lies, all that good stuff. And like, if you're comparing this to any of that, this feels like nothing. It feels like something he could have knocked out in a weekend. Because, and I've seen, particularly I've seen some of Chiaki Kanaka's Ultraman work, or something like Digimon, where he's done these episodic shows where they will have like high concept sci-fi ideas that are just kind of toyed with a little bit in the process of a fairly regular procedural storyline, and that's what this is, So that makes the most sense for like a long-form TV show, something like Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, which this actually has a lot of similar energy to. And I think that being in the, Bubblegum Crisis universe, maybe they just thought there was only so far they could push this tone, or only so much they could do that would really be unique from Bubblegum Crisis, which has already had a ton of episodes by this point. It's hard to say. It just kind of feels like, what if Chiaki Kanaka dabbled a little bit in writing fanfics about, his own character, his own OC exploring the Bubblegum Crisis universe. And, or I guess OCs, because I think all the characters are original to this OVA. I'm not sure. I haven't seen AD Police, which this is like, I think this is like a spin-off of a spin-off in that sense, because it's about like a secret division of the AD Police, which was already a spin-off from Bubblegum Crisis, and I haven't even seen most of this franchise, But nonetheless, this one, again, if it had been like a longer episodic show, I think it could be a really entertaining one. These episodes, they didn't feel like they had such crazy production values that they couldn't have been TV shows. Particularly of that time when Ghost in the Shell was airing around the same period, and I think was a pay-per-view show. Ergo Proxy, I think, was pay-per-view. So this could have, maybe they were aiming to have it picked up or something. I have no idea. Parasite Dolls is weird because it's one of those things that was like heavily advertised and very easy to find. You can find it in like Best Buy. It's on every streaming platform practically. It's on Crunchyroll. It's been there since the beginning. I watched it there like 12 years ago. It's on like High Dive. It's on Amazon. It's all over the place. I don't know why. I don't know why they pushed this thing so hard, because it really kind of just feels like a fraction of an idea for a bigger thing. But it couldn't really expand because the last episode really ends it. I mean, I don't know if maybe they thought they were going to go for longer when they started, and then they just decided they only, maybe they only had enough for 3, and then they just said, fuck it, we're going to finish it off. But, the first 2 episodes, again, they feel like pretty standard procedural stuff that's a little bit headier than usual. Almost like Pat Labor a little bit. It felt kind of interesting coming off the heels of that into this, but it doesn't have as much charm and not as much time to flesh out its characters, frankly. And also not nearly as great of animation, but that's what 2003 does to you, So, like, it's okay. It's a very, like, 6 out of 10 show. It's not something I regret watching even twice. I definitely felt like I understood it better as an adult because I am an adult, and I mean, I was kind of on the cusp of being an adult when I watched this the first time, but I did not like more dialogue driven kind of heady stuff, and I had mostly taken it as a pulp thing before. Like, when I watched it the first time, I was like, oh, this is dark and pulpy, and yeah, it is, but it's, again, it's not like a fun thrill ride. It less often will even show you action than just cut to it having happened. I don't know how much of that's just for budgetary reasons, but maybe that's also a part of why it just kind of feels a little flat, just because you never quite get that, like, satisfying, badass scene that you want in your OVA. Episode 3 comes a little closer, and that one gets crazy because the animation style totally shifts. They started using digital processing and effects, and it looks pretty good. It's weird. It's very washed out. There's this crazy-ass scene where a chopper is chasing after 2 of the characters in a car on a bridge, and as it's firing at them, like, it's almost like the whole screen is just smears, like, almost like, I don't know if there was CGI being used or what they did, but it just felt like it was just digitally smearing an animation. It was interesting. I would say it seemed like a cost-cutting technique, but one that was more expensive than a lot of other cost-cutting techniques and still looks good, But yeah, the final showdown in the hotel when they have the ideologue guy who's just launched this massive terrorist attack, and he's planning to take over the city, I guess, in the wake of this. Not really fleshed out enough, but the fact that his final words are kind of like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. I just want money and power. This is all for that, is a great scene. And then he gets fucking brained and then shot like 5 times more. It's cool. It's edgy. I wish there had been more of it. Wish the characters were more fleshed out. Wish there was a little bit less of the, like, robots have feelings. Because, when I'm watching something that's talking about how it has adult conversation, I want, like, my sci-fi to go a little bit deeper than, like, robots have emotions, dog. Like, this is 2003. Not only have we had Chiaki Kanaka writing Serial Experiments Lane in 98, or post Ghost in the Shell. We got Standalone Complex, again, airing this same year. So when you think about it in context of that, it's hard to praise it very highly, but it's alright. It's neat. It's a fine little OVA. So there you go.